Darling, darling, you're beautiful. Gotta keep your head up. Never let anything bring you down. Sunshine will always come around. Stay strong, move on. You have such a beautiful soul. Let your energy radiate.
So hi everyone, welcome to your midweek yoga. We are just coming into Sukhasana, easy pose. You can even take a half lotus, whatever's really super comfortable for you. If you want to sit on a little blanket like I'm just putting underneath my tush, that's good as well. And then just kind of going into the thought for our practice, maybe holding off on our first response might be something you'd like to practice tonight or today whenever you're getting this recording. Sometimes getting into a posture or a pose, we have this automatic thing that we do, getting into that pose. So maybe we just listen to the cue and we don't necessarily make adjustments right away. Maybe we just sit with the breath, kind of do a little scan, see what's happening in the body. We might find one of many things, but one might be that maybe what we thought we were going to do, we really don't need to do after all. The other thing could be, wow, this is super uncomfortable. I knew it was going to be. And our focus goes to that. So maybe in that situation, there's an opportunity to maybe breathe into the discomfort, wherever that may be in the body or just emotionally. And then on the exhale, maybe try to release that area. So maybe release the muscles around that area, willfully try to release it, and see what that does. And then there's also that opportunity to maybe do something a little bit different than we would normally do. Making a slight adjustment by listening to the cues, maybe that allows you to feel a sensation somewhere else, and then takes your mind off of that location where maybe you had some discomfort or something was bothering you about the pose. And then just sit for a breath, and then certainly go ahead and make any adjustments that you feel intuitively connected to that you want to do. So that's just an invitation for tonight. And it's really about something that was brought to my attention again, and this is a word that continually comes up for me, is Santosha and contentment. So that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to find this perfect, blissful moment, but that can we find contentment in what we're going through right now? And if we can't, can we then connect to the breath and maybe just find a moment of Santosha or connection or contentment right there? So I'm going to invite you now to close your eyes. And without making any movements, just start to take your inhales and exhales. And maybe just do like a little body scan, starting at the connectivity of the feet and the legs to each other, to the mat. Maybe coming up the sits bone, seeing what's happening there. And start to quickly scan up to the hips and the belly, maybe the front pelvis, the back tailbone, coming all the way up the spine, noticing how the belly is kind of sitting there at the center, rib cage, chest, maybe the collarbones, shoulders. And again, maybe not making any movements here, but just scanning and kind of seeing where that's fitting, where is everything kind of connecting to each other, and what's feeling open or what's feeling maybe a little tight, or maybe everything just feels great, maybe everything just feels awful, and you're so interested in making an adjustment or a movement. I'm going to take one more deep breath in as we rise up to the head and the face and the top of the head, and maybe out to the digits of the fingers. On the exhale, start to decide what you're going to do. And take this opportunity to make any adjustments or movements that you might want. And if that's uncrossing the legs and recrossing them because you realize that really wasn't the way you like to sit, easy, sweet style. And then we're going to take another breath in. And on that breath in, imagine that you're drawing the right shoulder away from the left hip and the right hip away from the left shoulder. So we have two diagonal lines on that inhale. And on the exhale, imagine those lines drawing towards each other. So really at the center where the two lines intersect. And for the next 8 or 10 rounds of breath, continue that idea of inhaling, opening up those points, and then exhaling and bringing those points together to the center. And just play with that breath and see how elongated can you make the right hip from the left shoulder and the left hip from the right shoulder. And on the exhale, how much can you contract it in? Drawing that belly button towards the tailbone and really bringing in the breath into the center body. And you might notice you're getting a little bit bored of that. So maybe play another game and maybe take the right knee and draw it from the left hip with a diagonal line, and maybe the left knee with the right hip. So you can play with a couple of inhales and exhales, just doing these little cross breaths. And again, when you're exhaling, even if you're down at the legs, imagine coming into that center area between the legs on the exhale, drawing in on the inhale, allowing those points to spread. And if you're bored again, you can even imagine drawing the left shoulder away from the right ear, right shoulder away from the left ear on the inhale, and on the exhale, coming into the center. Maybe it resides right around the throat area, where you exhale all the air out from the throat. On the next exhale, we can slowly start to open up our eyes. And again, I just invite you to notice where you habitually go for the rest of the practice and what happens when you make these slight adjustments or hesitations. If you want to uncross and recross your legs, this would be a good time to do it. We're going to take a nice inhale, arms are going to rise up, and we're going to exhale, reaching the arms in front in a forward fold, trying to keep those back sits bones onto the mat. Maybe the head drops. Maybe you need to use your hands fist over fist to support your forehead. And just take a couple of those breaths, again, maybe doing some diagonals, or maybe just noticing what's happening first, where you're feeling a little tension maybe at the low back, maybe the belly. And now make any adjustments in that fold. Maybe there's a wiggle of the right foot. Maybe there's just a little nod of the head. Maybe you realize where you planted your hands is not where you really feel the best. Maybe you want to go for a little more extension on the pose. So you reach the fingertips out a little bit further ahead of you. Maybe you want to pull back. Maybe it's just too much. Another couple of breaths here. Maybe playing with that diagonal breath. In, expanding. And the exhale, contracting, bringing it all into center. When you're ready, if your hands aren't out in front of you, we're going to walk our fingertips out, and we're just going to walk them over towards the right. Really easy here, easing yourself in. And once again, just take notice. Maybe your shirt is a little crinkled under the right rib cage and you're like, yeah, the minute I get to change something, I'm gonna fix that. Maybe you're thinking, oh, I could totally walk this left hand just a little bit more to the right and get a nice stretch in my armpit. And then on the exhale, go ahead and do so. Make your adjustments. Couple of breaths. You can try your cross breathing. It might be a little challenging sometimes when you're doing some side bends or twists. It's hard to figure out, where's my left shoulder? Where's my right hip? Wait, what? It's okay. You can always just breathe in and expand, and exhale and contract. When you're ready, we're going to walk the hands over towards the left side now, opening up that right side body. Settle in for just a moment of noticing. Maybe that right hip or right sits bone is coming up a little bit off the mat. So on the exhale, you decide, I'm just going to actively take my right hand, pressing into my right hip crease, and just remind that sits bone to just draw back a little bit, which might mean I have to shorten my stretch. And you know what? It feels just as good. On the next exhale, we're going to walk the hands forward and then start to walk them back towards the legs. Inhale, arms will rise up. And on the exhale, we're just going to plant that right hand to the mat and take a little exhale, side stretch as the left arm comes up over the left ear. Maybe the gaze is up towards the ceiling. Maybe it's not. See what happens. That's my habitual. And now maybe see what you're going to do with that stretch. Maybe the fingertips on the exhale come out a little bit further, making sure that that left sits bone is connecting with the earth. Or maybe you're just a little stiff today and you're right up there. You're barely noticing that there's a left side opening up. But as you bend that right elbow, maybe you can just feel it a little bit more without having to go super deep into the pose. Just play with it. Try something new. Try something you don't normally do. On the inhale, we're going to rise up with both hands. And on the exhale, switching sides, pausing just for a moment of reflection. Maybe the eyes closed this time. And let's adjust ourselves and see what we want to do with this side stretch. Feeling it on the right side of the body now, making sure that we're not collapsing too much on the left side. Staying strong in the left fingertips, maybe the right fingertips, really reaching for that left side of the room. And on the inhale, arms are going to rise up again. And on the exhale, they come down. We're going to inhale one more time. This time taking the left hand, planting it on the right knee, taking the right hand behind us, just for that little bit of a twist. Nice inhale, just noticing what's happening as the crown draws up. Making some decisions on where we want to go with this. We're going to exhale and move into that adjustment. Now, typically, I love to look over that right shoulder. I love a good twist. But I'm trying not to go so deep into that twist tonight. Maybe just focusing more on the elongation of the spine and the crown drawing up towards the ceiling. And noticing how that's making my torso feel. And noticing how easy that makes my breath. Again, eyes can be open or closed. Maybe go with something that isn't your norm. And on the inhale, arms are going to rise up. On the exhale, we're going to go to the other side. And just sit and notice how different maybe this feels on this side. And when you're ready, exhale and make any adjustments that you need to. You can certainly try your cross breath. Inhaling, expanding, shoulders drawing away from the hips. Exhale, drawing into the center body without losing any of the length that we've achieved. And when you're ready, we're going to inhale, arms are going to rise up. Exhale, get into our table position. So if you do have a little blankie or any prop holding you up, you can put that off to the side. And giving an option to turn perhaps the left wrist towards the front of the mat. So that means your fingertips will be facing your knees. And the right hand can point, the fingertips can point towards the front of the mat. Toes curl under perhaps as we start to inhale for cow. And just notice what's happening as we draw the shoulders back, maybe tailbone comes up. Little habitual movement here. We've all done cow before, but just noticing the difference in that turned wrist. And on the exhale, maybe untucking the toes for cat. Tailbone rises. Pressing into the hands still, noticing pressing into those left fingertips, the difference that makes compared to the right fingertips. And start to do your inhales and exhales, your cows and your cats. Maybe just play with moving a little bit backwards on the cat, towards the heels. And on the inhale, maybe just coming a little bit forward, relieving some of that pressure off of the left wrist. And if that's uncomfortable for you, you can even play with putting the fingertips out towards the side of the mat. Or maybe they're at 10 o'clock. Or maybe you almost get them back towards the knees. They're about 7 o'clock. When you're ready, really put some weight into that left arm. If you're feeling okay with that, we're going to just inhale, reaching the right arm up towards the sky. And on the exhale, we're just going to switch hands. So now the right hand is going to be fingertips towards the knee, and the left hand is fingertips are going to face forward. And do a couple more of your very thoughtful cat cows, maybe trying something new, maybe sitting back towards the heels a little bit on that cat, stretching that right wrist. And maybe on the inhale for cow, just moving forward, taking a little bit of the weight off. Or you certainly can play with the reverse of that. Just going at your own speed. Feeling a lot of cracks and pops. All right, when you're ready, we're going to take that left hand up towards the sky, leaning in towards the right hand, really opening up that whole forearm. And on the exhale, coming down into table. If you want to sit back on your heels and just shake it out a little bit. You can also clasp the hands and do little figure eights with our wrists. That's always a nice way of just lubricating up the joint and preparing it for some work tonight. We're not going to be doing too many down dogs, which is also just changing things up a little bit, just allowing ourselves to go into each of these postures that we might normally take and just take them in a different way, or just find contentment, whatever we're doing. A little bit more shaken. I can't feel them anymore. That's a good sign that we are done and nice and loose. And just to change things up again, we're going to walk the hands out, one hand length in front on table, curling the toes. We're just going to come into a high plank. And take a couple of breaths here, but of course, you know what the practice is tonight. See what happens. Notice what you're doing. See where you go. Maybe find a little contentment before you make your adjustments. Drawing the belly in towards the tailbone. One more inhale. On the exhale, we're going to take the right knee and we're going to bring it up to the right wrist, setting up for pigeon right away tonight. The right toes are going to press onto the mat. We're going to lower that left leg. Left foot is just going to plant on the top of the foot. Just see where that lands for you. And on the exhale, feel free to lower yourself down, pull in a prop. And just take maybe 2 rounds of breath here in pigeon. Seeing if you can just give in to the pose right away. We didn't do a lot of stretching on the legs yet, so just notice what's happening there. What's the sensations? What can you breathe into, expanding that area and exhaling, just releasing. Next exhale, we're going to rise up from our pigeon and maybe just get a nice little, tiny little back bend here. And if you would like to go for a little bit of a stretch, you can bring the left knee to bend and that left foot comes up. That's giving me a little bit of a pull on my hamstring because I'm not warmed up enough yet. So I'm not even going to go for that reach. And that would be like an automatic, like I would just go and do that. Not tonight, folks. On the exhale, maybe releasing whatever's happening there. We're going to curl that toe under, move any props that you may have in the way. Send that right foot back for plank. Another breath or two here. You've done this before, so that's okay. You can go right back to what feels good, what feels comfortable, what you're content with. And on the next exhale, just slide that left knee into place. Left tops of the toes, pressing down on the mat, lowering that right back leg, flat foot. See what's different on this side. Maybe this side, you don't need a prop. And on the exhale, settle into the pose. Take a couple of breaths. Notice a different tightness. Notice that everything is just fabulous. No adjustments needed. Take your cross breaths. Right shoulder draws away from left hip, right hip draws away from left shoulder on the inhale. And then on the exhale, just contracting all of those points into center where it intersects. Trying that belly in on the exhale. A couple more times. Feel free to play with another area, maybe the right knee, left hip, left knee, right hip. What? Can you even find those places when you're in a fold like this? On the next exhale, we're going to rise up. Take that little mini back bend. Maybe bend that right knee, see what's happening. Maybe there's a reach for it. Maybe this is just good enough because it's tweaking a little bit. And on that exhale, try to just release that muscle that may just be bothering you or just needs a little extra attention. On the next exhale, release, curling that toe under, pressing into the hands, bringing that left foot back for plank. Nice little breath here. Play with what you're content with. On the exhale, next time, you're going to raise the hips up towards the sky. Maybe just plant those feet, and you are in your downward facing dog. See where you go. Notice what's happening. And on the exhale, make any adjustments. Maybe wiggle out the knees, shake the head. Keeping that outward rotation of the elbow creases is a great idea, supporting your shoulders, allowing that belly to draw up, really allowing the hips to draw up towards the sky. Maybe trying that diagonal breath from hips to knees, contracting, maybe feeling that on the inner thighs as they draw towards each other. And feel free to play with the right wrist and the left shoulder, diagonal line from the right shoulder to the left wrist. Nice inhale here, exhale, drawing those arms towards each other, towards the ears. On the next exhale you take, walk those hands back towards the feet. We're just going to take a forward fold. Maybe it's a rag doll. You might want to grab opposite elbows with each of your hands. A little sway back and forth, maybe bending one knee, straightening the other. It's allowing us to get a little twisting action. And go as quick or as slow as you'd like. Or maybe just notice a different way of doing it. Swaying a little bit more than you normally do, or maybe a little bit less than you normally do. And see if you can find some enjoyment or contentment with that. Settling in, I'm going to start to root to rise, so pressing in through the feet. Inhale, coming up, hands overhead for Hastasana. And on the exhale, bringing hands together in prayer at the chest, coming into your Tadasana pose, however you'd like to get there. On the inhale, just notice where you're at. Maybe on the exhale, start to make that adjustment. Maybe it's moving the feet closer together. Maybe it's drawing those elbows just a little bit tighter into the rib cage. Maybe the glutes are just a little bit too squeezed. You want to just release a bit. A couple of breaths here. Maybe drawing the left shoulder from the right ear, the right shoulder from the left ear on the inhale. And on the exhale, feel that contraction right at the throat as the air exits the mouth. One more time, opening up, drawing those points away from each other. And on the exhale, contracting them towards each other, releasing all that energy, all that air out the throat and the mouth. On the inhale, arms are going to rise up, little back bend here before we swan dive down. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, we're going to press on the shins. Nice little shine to the heart. Draw those shoulders back. Maybe you're just looking at your mat. Maybe your eyes are closed. Notice how that halfway lift feels. And then exhale, forward fold. We're going to walk the hands forward, back into our downward facing dog. Taking that right foot however you like. We're going to get that to the front of the mat, set up for runner's lunge. So that right knee is going to go into the right armpit. The right hand is maybe going to come out to the outer edge of the mat, left hand towards the outer edge of the mat. Just really sink into that right knee, tracking it right over the center toes. Heel in the back is lifted, kneecap engaged. And when you're ready, we're going to exhale, bringing that left foot to meet the right, forward fold. Inhale, root to rise, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, bring it through to forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the hands, take that left foot right back where you started for your lunge. Just staying here for a moment for a breath. Before we exhale, sweeping that right foot back to half downward facing dog. Inhale, coming forward for plank, lowering for knees, chest, chin, perhaps. On the exhale, inhale, low cobra. Exhale, pressing back, downward facing dog. Taking that left leg up to the sky and finally stepping it forward. Getting that nice lunge, feeling that left knee right in the left armpit. Maybe the left hand comes out to the side, right to its side. Up on the ball of the back toe. Pressing in, bringing that right foot up to meet the left, forward fold. Rooting to rise, inhale, Urdhva Sthasana. Exhale, bring it down, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Gonna take that right foot back. Couple of breaths here, just getting that lunge, feeling the energy coming out of the floor through the mat. When you're ready, exhale, sweeping that left foot to meet the right, downward facing dog. Inhale, coming forward for plank, lowering for knees, chest, chin. On the exhale, inhale, low cobra. Exhale, pressing back, downward facing dog. Taking that right foot once again to the front of the mat. This time setting up for that high lunge. We're going to look ahead, start to reach the hands as we honor that lunge. Hands are up. Right knee tracking over the right toes. Left knee lifts. Left heel lifts. Exhale, hands plant on the ground. We're going to walk them to our forward fold. Just take a little dip. Little forward fold. As we exhale, the hands are going to walk towards the back of the mat. Left toe is going to point towards the back of the mat. We're going to bend that knee, setting up for our lunge here. Tracking that knee over the toes. Just noticing where we're at, making any adjustments. Before we inhale, reaching up, high lunge. Exhale, forward fold, really building on this momentum, walking the hands to the wide side of the mat, right back to the front. Bend into that knee one more time, lifting up on the inhale. This time, exhale, see if you can press off of that left foot coming into warrior three, using any props just to get you there. We're balancing on that right foot. Left foot is going to be flexed as if we're standing on a wall behind us. And maybe we just start to release the hands behind us. Virabhadrasana 3, warrior 3. Before we exhale, allowing that left foot to plant down. Straighten the right knee. Inhale both arms. A little bit of a back bend here. Exhale, hinging forward into pyramid pose. So adjust that left foot so that the left toes are pointing forward. And maybe just start to lower on the exhale. See what's happening in this pose. Notice if you right away go for a brick. Notice if you right away hyperextend that knee. Maybe just give it a little micro bend on the exhale. Try something new. Play with your stance if you want to make that a little smaller, a little wider. And just allowing the head to drop a little bit more. We're pulling out of it a little bit, maybe coming up on fingertips. Bending into that right knee one more time, lifting that left heel up, coming back into our high lunge. Exhale, hands plant down, and we're going to walk the hands back towards the back side of the mat. Coming into it on this side this time. Setting up for your high lunge. Starting to all sound and look familiar. Pressing off of that back right foot, coming right into Virabhadrasana 3, finding your balance there. Flexing that right foot. Left leg stays strong. Maybe the arms come back. Head draws forward, right heel drawing back and up. Exhale, now that foot's gonna come back. We're gonna point those toes forward, straightening that left leg. On the inhale, nice little back bend, arms come up. Exhale, we're gonna slowly fold over for our pyramid pose. See what you wanna do here on this side. I'm gonna bend into that left knee, walking the hands around back towards the front of the mat. And just adding on to that sequence, we're gonna bend in, rise for high lunge. This time, sweeping the arms out, kicking that left heel back, coming into warrior 2. Notice where you go. See what you wanna change. Inhale, peaceful warrior, that right knee stays bent. Exhale, forearm comes to that right thigh. Inhale, the arm comes up towards the sky, really feeling that turn of the left hip. Left toes pointing up towards the left side of the mat, and maybe we bring that arm up and over the left ear, extended side angle. On the inhale, we're gonna reach up, straightening that leg for the peaceful warrior this time. Exhale, we're gonna hinge forward, taking the right hand to the right shin, and then taking the left arm up towards the sky for triangle. See where you're at. What do you need to change? Try a little cross breath. On the next exhale, the right knee is gonna bend. We're gonna plant those hands back down to the mat, walk them around, forward fold to the back of the mat. Setting up here for your high lunge. Opening it up for warrior 2. Inhale, peaceful warrior. Exhale, forearm to thigh, right arm up towards the sky. Maybe over the ear for extended side angle. Notice what's happening on this side, trying not to collapse on the left side. Feeling that nice right side body extending all the way from the foot to the fingertips. On the exhale, we're gonna come up, straightening that front leg for our peaceful warrior. Nice inhale here. Feeling that full extension before we hinge forward on the exhale, reaching for that shin on the left side as the right arm peels up towards the sky. And again, play with that right hip here, drawing it forward allows that chest to open up a little bit more, a little telescope or a corkscrew. Notice how that's feeling, what's happening with the feet. Any tension in the face you'd like to notice or do something about. And on the exhale, we're gonna bend that left knee and the hand's just gonna come walking over. As we continue to walk the hands towards the front of the mat, we're gonna take that left foot and it's gonna join the right foot and forward fold. Now we're gonna take that right foot back just for a moment, maybe where we had it in pyramid. Start to walk the hands towards the wide side of the mat. So we have a little cross-legged. Yep, it's feeling crazy. We're gonna cross-leg forward fold. So I'm really on the outer edges of my feet here. My arms are supporting me. So I'm gonna just try to pull my left foot back a little, right foot back a little, closing up that space. Maybe the knees almost come together. So the right knee nestles in behind the left knee. I don't know if you can see this. I'll open up my arms so you can. We're going to walk the hands out a little bit, really bending into the knees so that we can come to a sitting position. So the left knee is going to be stacked over the right knee. And you probably saw I was already trying to adjust myself. So if you can try not to do that on the second round, that would be great. Or you could just stop what you're doing, assess where you're at, and maybe on the exhale say, okay, I can take this right leg over a little bit more. But we're going to hold our feet. Nice inhale here. So if you can hold the tops of your feet, great. Legs can stack right on top of each other, knees right here. If that's not comfortable, you can just go into your cross-legged and hold the tops of your feet. Inhale, and then exhale, fold over. And just notice what's happening. Maybe you go pretty deep. Maybe you decide, I'm going to notice what happens when I don't go so deep. What happens to my breath? Maybe bending those elbows, just pulling at the feet a little bit. Maybe your next exhale allows you to just get a little lower. In your Gomukhasana, forward fold. Exhale, we're going to rise up. And we're going to go out of that pose the same way we came in. So that might sound a little tricky. You might need to push off the back so that you can get your hands in front. Get them pretty far ahead. Maybe get those toes to curl, ground them down, and start to lift the back side. And then we can start to walk the hands back around. We're going to go 360. 360, completely back around. So we're back on the other side. This time the right leg is in front, the left leg is behind. Reaching in front, we're gonna get those knees to nestle in to each other. So that's gonna draw the legs a little bit closer together, the feet a little bit closer together. And then we're gonna slowly start to lower ourselves down. And maybe just stay there. Don't adjust anything yet. You might be like falling off the back of your mat. You might not be facing the wide side the way you'd like. And now start to make your adjustments. Just sliding everything in place for Gomukhasana. Maybe clasping onto the tops of the feet again. Nice inhale before we exhale, forward fold. Again, bending the elbows maybe allows you just a little bit more space in the armpits. Noticing the difference in the sides, just switching the legs, where you're more open, where you're more perhaps a little bit tight. Maybe everything just feels awesome or just feels terrible. Try a little cross breath, see what happens with the right shoulder away from the left ear, left shoulder away from the right ear on the inhale. And on the exhale, just releasing, contracting through the throat where those 2 points intersect. Next exhale, we're going to rise up. And on the inhale, start to open up the legs. Maybe the right leg comes out towards the right side of the front of the mat. Left leg towards the left side. See if you can get your sits bones to feel comfortable. And just settle for one moment. If you're balanced, then you're good. See how everything's feeling. And on the exhale, maybe really drawing those toes up towards the sky, making any adjustments. Before the arms, inhale, and we exhale, forward fold. Just really opening up the back body here. Seeing if we can relax into the inner thighs. Maybe the knees are slightly bent. Toes are nice and active, pointing up towards the sky. Really letting that head drop. Noticing if there's any areas we can breathe into. And then release as we exhale. And what does that happen to the other side of the body? What does that happen to a nearby muscle or bone? Do you feel more relief? Is there a different discomfort maybe now that you're feeling? Try breathing into that space. On the exhale, we're going to walk the hands back. We're going to take that left leg and bring it almost in towards the right thigh. But then we're going to take the right foot and we're going to bring that towards the back of the mat. So we have like a little pinwheel situation happening here with our legs. We're going to inhale nice and tall. And on the exhale, take the right hand towards that left knee. Left hand comes somewhat behind you. We're just going to take a little twist. Notice what's happening first. And then on your next exhale, maybe go a little further or maybe a little taller. Maybe planting that left hand down, leaning into that left side. We could just reach back for that right ankle. And maybe just pull it in a little bit towards the right butt cheek as the gaze maybe comes up towards the ceiling. A little stretch, a little back bend. It's drawing towards each other. Chin up. A little bit of a balance, but we're really completely on that left sits bone, left thigh, left calf. So we don't have to worry about balancing too much. Just a slight little back bend before we come into our next forward fold and start to settle down, slow down our practice. Releasing that foot, we're just going to switch legs. So the right knee will bend, that right foot will come almost towards the left thigh. And then we're just going to inwardly rotate that right thigh and let that left foot come to the back. Nice little pinwheel. Inhale, rising up. Exhale, taking that left hand to right knee. Going in for the twist, noticing what's happening. Maybe going tall instead of twisting. You can almost feel an opening in that right torso as much as the left. And again, if you want to take that left hand and reach for that left ankle. Just drawing the shoulders together. There's another pop and crack in my body. That might have come through the microphone. And the chin comes up a little bit as the gaze comes up towards the ceiling. Shoulders drawing towards each other, navel draws back. Nice stability here on the whole right leg, thigh. Even the outer pinky is playing its part in the balance. Always just get a little bit of a back bend here. Nice stretch of that right leg. And when you're ready, release. Legs are going to now come into Baddha Konasana. You can open up your diamond shape, or you can bring those in as close as you like. Settle in for a moment, maybe decide which one's best, which one you'll find contentment with. As we inhale, arms will come up. Exhale, forward fold. And again, I always recommend bringing in a prop. At the end, it's nice to get a little restorative forward fold. Little pillow at the belly as the head drops. Drawing that diagonal line from the right knee towards the left hip, really opening up that diagonal line, feeling that in hip flexors on the right hip to the left knee as well. And on the exhale, just contracting, maybe even feeling the soles of the feet pressing together on that contraction, drawing all the energy into that center diamond. And now on the inhale, maybe the right hip moves away from the left shoulder, right shoulder away from the left hip. Nice open diagonal lines on the inhale. Really expanding that torso as it folds over, and then exhale, drawing it all in towards center body, belly button drawing in as well as we contract the abdomen on the exhale. And maybe on the next inhale, drawing that right ear away from the left shoulder, left ear from the right shoulder. Nice expansive inhale. Maybe the head even rises slightly from the forward fold. And on the exhale, drawing in towards the throat. Maybe that contraction coming out of the mouth as the head just lowers a little bit more. Take the next couple of rounds of breath on your own. When you're ready, you're going to slowly start to walk the hands back, discarding any props that you may have or including them in your preparation for Shavasana. Slowly start to lower, maybe holding the backs of the knees, getting a little bit of core engagement as you slowly come down to the mat. Drawing the knees up towards the chest, taking little circles perhaps to the right. Maybe the toes point and flex. Getting some last movements in. Switching directions with the knees. Massaging that lower back. Finally allowing those knees to settle. At the center, we're going to let them drop over towards the left side. Taking that left hand, we're just going to take that left thumb and give a little massage into the right hip crease. Maybe get the fingers involved, wrapping around the hip. Nice little massage there. And if you'd like to take that right arm out to the side in a T, great. But you might want to just shimmy your shoulders a little bit to the left so that you're not really on a diagonal, so that that right shoulder can really make contact with the mat. Maybe just settle in here, a little massage down the outer left thigh. Maybe that gaze comes over the right hand. And just settling in for a quiet twist. Toes can be relaxed. Hips relaxed. Rib cage relaxed. Allow the shoulders to melt down, elbows, fingers of the right hand, just released and relaxed. You start to move the head side to side, get a little massage at the back skull. Open and close the mouth. Maybe wiggle out the jaw. Allow the eye sockets to just float to the back of the head. Maybe raise and lower the eyebrows, just softening that spot between the eyes. And then finally just settle in for a couple of breaths. Maybe the gaze is up towards the ceiling. Eyes are closed perhaps as the crown begins to draw back and melt down. Maybe that left hand just splays out in a T onto the floor. The next inhale, palms press onto the floor so the wrists might flip. And we're just going to slowly bring those knees to center. Take one nice breath here to neutralize the spine. One more inhale. And on the next exhale, allow those legs to drift off to the right. Again, you might want to shimmy your shoulders over towards the right. Taking that right hand now, placing it over the left hip. Taking that right thumb, giving a little massage into the hip flexor. Maybe the fingers wrap around that hip. Feet and toes are relaxed. Maybe we take that left arm out to a T, thumb knuckles just on the floor, fingers relaxed. Maybe the gaze comes over that left hand. As we just massage the outer thigh, hip. And maybe that right arm now just comes out towards the side in a T as well. Feeling the knees and the thighs melting into each other, into the floor. The hips drawing down. Feeling the belly just nice and soft as it rises and falls. Rib cage softening. Allowing the collarbone to drift back. Jaw nice and slack. And the tongue just lightly touching the back of the front teeth. You're imagining the sinuses opening on the inhale. On the exhale, maybe releasing the inner ear. Feeling the temples soften. Forehead. Maybe we just go back and forth with the head a little, just massaging the back of the skull. Flipping the palms to press into the earth. On the next inhale, we're going to slowly bring the knees back to the chest. Nice neutral position for a breath or two. Maybe the hands just grab those knees one last time. Nice little hug, drawing the shins and the thighs towards the body. Not overextending the neck, just nice, relaxed. Slowly release the feet towards the bottom of the mat or the top of the mat. And settle into your Shavasana. Maybe palms are up to receive a little grace. Grabbing in any props that you may need to just lighten the load on the lower back. Sometimes a pillow across the belly is a nice grounding sensation. And sometimes just a little curled blanket under the back neck, nice and supportive. Just take this moment to assess what you may need in your body. And go ahead and make that happen. Just allowing everything to draw down, melt down. Maybe just another quick body scan from the toes, over the tops of the feet, under the arches, around the heels, up the ankle to the shin and calves, lower knee, top knee, behind the knee. Just taking any breaths that you may need in those areas. And any exhales to just release any tension that may still be there in the thighs and the glutes. Allowing the hips to just draw down. Releasing the lower back, pelvis. Softness of the belly drawing towards the middle spine. Nice inhale, feeling that rib cage expand, and then on the exhale, release into the ground. Collarbone, shoulders, all drawing back. Scanning the arms, the wrists, fingers. Scanning behind the heart. The neck, the throat, allowing the jaw to draw back, teeth, roof of mouth, bridge of nose, eyebrows, hair follicles. Hoping you find your Santosha and contentment in your Shavasana. This is where I will leave you tonight to enjoy this sacred space you have created. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for joining us in virtual community. I thank you as always and welcome you again, hopefully very soon or next week. Till then, namaste and take care.
Darling, darling, you're beautiful. Gotta keep your head up. Never let anything bring you down. Sunshine will always come around. Stay strong, move on. You have such a beautiful soul. Let your energy radiate.